Having been a member of KANU and having served in the KANU government, and I find some things rather difficult to understand. Because, Mr. Speaker, this position of Deputy President is a new one. It came in 2010. The position of Vice President had very, very good gentlemen. I still recall the way the office was occupied by the Honorable, unfortunately late, George Saitoti, Kijana wa Malwa, and indeed, the fine gentleman that we have in politics now, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. Those people, Mr. Speaker, understood their job. If I were to stand today and accuse the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, I would accuse him of only one thing. He does not get it. This particular job, he does not know the job description of a deputy president. For one, Mr. Speaker, the Constitution of Kenya says that there shall be a president. And then that president will be assisted by a deputy president. Now, assisted by a deputy president. That means, Mr. Speaker, that our Constitution foresees a situation where we have one driver and one makanga. And one is not trying to do the job of the other. Now, how did we get into a situation, Mr. Speaker, where we now have two bosses in the country? We have the president who is the boss, and we have the deputy president who says he's also the boss. Now, if there is something that we have to do in this house is to resolve that dispute. The country cannot run when we have...
Give Wamchomba the mic. Yes, Mheshimiwa.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on a point of order to just ask whether the word makanga is parliamentary. I just need a clarification. The word makanga, whether it is parliamentary language. Is the member in order to use that kind of language today?
Honorable Wamchomba. Order. Yes, Millie. Yes, Millie.
I don't know if Honorable Sunkuli has allowed me to inform you. Yes, yes. Yes, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to inform Honorable Sunkuli that you can use those words so long as you put in inverted commas, because you are reporting. So when it is reported, like in the case where people are talking kufa makanga, kufa dereva. Mr. Speaker, I even wanted to speak to it by saying that it is actually people saying that are crucifying the DP. By saying he should kufa, the motion here is on the, in quote, makanga. It's not on the dereva. So people want to bring the motion on the dereva in quotes, can bring, but the one we are dealing with now is on makanga.
But for Honorable Wamchomba, language is dynamic. It's living. It grows. That's why you now find Kiswahili words in the Oxford English Dictionary. And by ordinary usage, every single Kenyan knows what makanga means. And Sunguli was not mixing languages. He spoke in the manner like he was quoting.
I will definitely need another extra time. But, Mr. Speaker, so our Constitution foresees a situation where the president and the deputy president operate in harmony. Now, Mr. Speaker, if your principal job is to assist the president, and your marriage with the president is now irretrievably broken down, the only purpose of this house is to say that there is actually no more marriage, and that the deputy president can no longer perform his duties as a deputy president. And so, if that happens to be the situation, then what remains? I remember the late President Moi telling us that the problem with Africans is that they don't resign until they are kicked out. In this particular situation, because the marriage is irretrievably broken down, it ought to be the case that the deputy president ought to say, as a gentleman, that this thing is not working, I'm going to leave it. He has said that this is like a company. And in a company, people exist in order to have a common good. And the mixture of strategy and vision and deep understanding of their core business is what will bring fruits to this job. Mr. Speaker, I believe myself that there are two mistakes that have been made here that need to be looked into by this House. One is that the Deputy President ought to believe in the Republic of Kenya. Because if I look at the number of times, if I Google the number of times the Deputy President has pronounced the word Mount Kenya, and the number of times he has pronounced the name Kenya, the number of times he has said Mount Kenya are more than the times he has said Kenya. A person who takes the oath to be the Deputy President of Kenya must be a person who pronounces the words Kenya more than the one person who pronounces the words of his region. Patriotism. And secondly, the person must actually believe in his boss and must...
Give him 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, if your core business is to work for your boss, you must believe in him. If you don't believe in him, what are you doing with him? The second thing is that you must believe in Kenya. If you don't believe in Kenya, that you believe that your responsibility is to look after the shares of your side of Kenya, then what are you doing with the rest of the country? Mr. Speaker, I want to finish by urging that next time we appoint a deputy president, next time the president appoints a deputy president, let him understand that that is a serious business. You must appoint a person who will actually understand that he's going to be a president if something bad happens. Don't do it just because he brings votes. Let us be serious about this responsibility, because that is where we are going wrong. Someone is saying that he qualifies just because he brought in the votes, not because he can actually appeal to the rest of the Kenyans and can be trusted by the rest of Kenyans. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, vote to impeach.
Osoro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.